What's the data on using data? This is the IssuesWatch podcast. Hi, I'm Don Meyer, Chief Marketing Officer at the New Jersey Society of CPAs, and welcome to the IssuesWatch podcast. Running a business is a balancing act that both rewards and tests leaders. So how do you stack the odds in your favor? According to one managing partner, the answer is simple: data. Learning to use a company's data to reduce risk and make smart decisions is potentially a game changer. Here with me to discuss how to manage a business like a boss are NJCPA members Sarah Crom, the managing partner, SKC and Company CPAs, and a past president of the NJCPA, and Ryan Warnut, president of 409 Solutions, Inc. Welcome, Sarah and Ryan.
Thanks, Don. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And Sarah, I should say, welcome back to you. You are now officially part of the Two Timers Club. We are working on some sort of official recognition or designation. We were thinking like Saturday Night Live, maybe jackets or something like that, but we'll work on it, or maybe a T-shirt, because our budget isn't that big. So
Nice.
But we'll find something.
I have to keep coming up with topics to bring to the table.
Exactly. So we haven't had a three-timer yet, so you could be the first.
Pressure.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. I mean, if the prize is good enough, maybe I'll come again too.
That's true, right? I mean, it only takes one more time and you're up in the Second Timers Club. So you never know. Yeah. All right. So let's jump in. Sarah, you and Ryan wrote an article for New Jersey CPA magazine titled "How to Manage Your Practice Like a Boss Using Power BI Dashboards." In that article, you wrote that in the last 3 years, you've run the firm with the help of real-time dashboards using Power BI. So let's go back 3 years and talk about how this process started. What was the spark and what were your goals?
So I might go back even further than 3 years. So Ryan was actually the spark. And he was an intern with SKC. I won't age him with the year. He started off with us as an intern, came full-time after he graduated, passed the CPA exam, got licensed, worked for us for a couple of tax seasons, and came to us in 2019, us being the leadership team at the time, came to us and said, I really would like to explore data analytics. So we, of course, were confused as to what that actually meant and how we would apply it to our business, but also really excited. And we're like, sure, let's do it. Let's see what it's all about. So in 2019, we actually formed a small team that included Ryan and all of the partners. And we went through a data analytics boot camp with a consulting firm. And we basically walked away from that experience with a business plan, if you will, about how to start a whole data analytics service line. So Ryan kind of created that from nothing, and since 2019 have synthesized it and done modifications to it and improvements and grown it to the point that in January of 2023, we actually spun it off as its own company, 409 Solutions, which, as we mentioned, Ryan is the president of. So that was sort of the spark, being Ryan himself, in kind of creating that interest in himself and then bringing it to the firm and sort of expanding from there into a whole new company.
Oh, so I think, Ryan, it's fair to say you had a much different internship experience than most interns.
I definitely had a very unique opportunity in terms of, being able to pursue something very early in my career that I found a passion for, and the partners saw, I guess, the potential in what I could have done, and kind of let me run wild with it. And, I was still, doing my tax and accounting work, but, and all my free time was just, working with and, researching new softwares, kind of involving myself in this data analytics world.
Wow, that's great. All right, so let's talk about the technology the firm is using. The article said that you use CCH Access and you leverage Power BI to generate user-friendly dashboards. So for the benefit of those who aren't familiar with Power BI, obviously I'm an expert, but for those who aren't, please describe what it does and how it was useful for this project.
Yeah, of course. So Power BI is a Microsoft product. It's Microsoft's business intelligence tool. And essentially, a business intelligence tool is a reporting tool on steroids. So it's something that could take in data. You can transform and clean the data in a way that, makes sense to the software and makes sense to the end users. And really the biggest impact on it, and why I call it a reporting tool on steroids, is the customization you have with the visuals and the layout and the functionality of the specific dashboards themselves. You could really do a lot and cater to different end users based on how they ingest information, how they see things in terms of a visual or a table, or lots of data, or just, is this good, is this bad? So that's bare bones what essentially a business intelligence tool does, and that's what Power BI is.
All right, so the article referenced dashboards, user-friendly dashboards, and CPA firms, companies in general, including the NJCPA, we have tons and tons of data on our members, on events they attend, articles they read, you name it. Your firm, I'm sure, is no exception. So how do the dashboards make the data more user-friendly?
Yeah, so it's all about working with the end users. So it's all about talking through and figuring out what's most important. How can we show it at a high level? What are the high level metrics that we care about? And then how do we drill down into the specific details if needed? So it really is a matter of using the different functionalities, but also being able to see high level and then the specific details that go into it if we want to see those.
So obviously, and Sarah, I'll turn it over to you. When you're trying to hone in on what you want to see in these dashboards, you obviously have to have focus, because you could pull from any number of different data sources. So what areas of the firm did you focus on? And then how were you able to use the dashboards to make the firm more efficient or more strategic?
So remember, it started off servicing clients, right? So we saw how this was benefiting our clients and what visuals our clients were getting, and how they were better decision makers because of it. And we got jealous. So we wanted to be involved with our own dashboards and creating them. And so it became important for us to start with, all right, what are we trying to get? What are we trying to do better? What's the end goal here? And for us, it's always been to make really good, educated decisions in real time. And we can sit in a meeting and we can talk about any topic and pull up our dashboards and get answers to questions. And so this for us has been, a 3-4 year process of refining our dashboards internally as well. So we started with probably somewhere around 6 to 8 pages on our dashboard, Ryan. And I think we're probably up to 15 or 20 pages now. But we've gotten very sort of categorical with it. So we have a whole section that's just for clients, and that includes their billings and accounts receivable. We grade our clients on a scale of A through F, and so we're able to sort reports through that capacity. We have client profitability sheets, so that sort of sits on one section of the dashboard. We have an employee section of the dashboard, and so that talks about employees' capacity. That talks about the clients that they work on. It talks about how close are they to hitting their billable budget. What's their non-billable time detail? And so those are some of the things that, give us actual data in a meeting. We have the capability of getting it on our phones, getting it on our tablets, getting it on our computers, and answering questions to help us get to a decision that we're trying to make. I mean, we certainly have other dashboards related to marketing, and the 409 team is working on building us a hiring analysis, because that's something that not only we think there's a benefit to, but our clients have asked for as well. So we're sort of building that out with SKC as the guinea pig right now. But it gives us really a tremendous amount of transparency into what's happening sort of behind the scenes, and we can slice and dice information that gives us just endless opportunities to make decisions with.
Do you find the clients want to see this information, or some of them just sort of like they'd rather just have you do the work. They don't want to see how the sausage is made. They just want you to, they just want to see results. But do you have some clients that actually want to see these dashboards?
The clients see all of their dashboards.
Okay.
Ryan and his team build them, customize them to exactly what each client wants to see. So it is a full client-facing deliverable.
No, that's terrific. All right. So what's next? It sounds like in 3 years, you've made great strides. So what do you see as kind of the next or the evolution of this process?
It's helpful to get a little background of like what we do now in terms of kind of how the process works. There's kind of 2 steps. So there's the first step, which is gathering the data itself. And that's very computer science tech driven, where, it's more coding, it's more figuring out how to get the data from a software and how to get that process automated so that we can have real-time dashboards. And then there's the Power BI side of it, where it's more of the user interface, where we're creating the dashboards and tailoring them, adding to and customizing them over time with our clients, with SKC. And so really what we're focusing on next, or kind of what the next evolution of what we do is really diving into the first step, where it's more dealing with the data and the coding, computer science part of it. And two items that we're working on currently and have a few projects that we've worked on in the past are more process automation. So automating repeatable tasks where, might take a person, a few hours to do, but it's repetitive every month, every week, whatever that schedule is, and essentially having a computer do it for you. And the other part of that is software integrations. So we're pulling data from these softwares and, automating that process. Kind of the next step to that is then pushing it to a different software. So an example of that would be, you have a CRM system and your firm management software, where you have your leads that you're putting into your CRM, they become a client, then someone puts them into the firm management software, where if you had an integration between those, you would only have to put in the information once. This software will talk to this software type of thing. So those are kind of the 2 other things that we're working on to be able to provide different types of data services for our clients.
All right. So that explanation was actually a great lead in to my next question. What kind of expertise does a company need to achieve what you did and what you're currently doing?
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends on the complexity of it. And really part of what I find so fun in what I do is that, every client is different, all like lots of different softwares. Be able to pull that data is different on, depending on how it's set up on the back end and how the database is. So it really is like a new puzzle every time. But in terms of creating Power BI dashboards, I mean, Power BI is similar to Excel in some ways. It's a Microsoft product. So a lot of the same terminologies are used, and it's not as hard to pick it up if you're very good in Excel. But the back end side of things, of pulling data from different softwares, that does take a certain level of expertise in computer science, knowing about APIs and SQL, which those might be foreign to some people, but those are key terms in terms of some of the back end stuff in terms of pulling data on the back end and automating that part of it.
Don, one of the things that we've seen too with our clients and even other CPA firms that we've worked with is there's always an interest in it, right? There's always headlines and podcasts, and business owners are super jazzed about even hearing the topic of automation or dashboards or real-time anything. And maybe they have somebody like we had Ryan in 2019 who had an interest in it, but they don't have somebody who has the time and the dedication to really dive in the way that Ryan and subsequently his team has done in building this out. So it may just be, a little side project that really never gets off the ground because you can't really get that level of experience that you need in sort of creating these dashboards and these automations.
Yeah, and we've done a number of podcasts about different types of technology, and it always seems like it ends up being kind of like that side project that they never have time for, or they purchase some sort of software package and then it sits on a shelf, so to speak, because they don't have time to actually implement it, and the time goes wasted. I think what's interesting about what you're doing is that I have heard many, many times whenever there's some new innovation, like for example now with artificial intelligence, it always seems like a number of our members, because we have so many small and sole practitioners, are always kind of like waiting for sort of like a trickle down approach. They're waiting to see what the larger firms do. And then, hopefully the knowledge or the expertise will somehow trickle down to them, or they'll be able to tap into what the larger firms did. I think the fact that you are you're not one of the biggest firms in the state, and yet you created this innovation, and I think that's what technology needs a lot of time, is more of a from the bottom up, or not that you're at the bottom, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
I think something like this needs that, because I think practitioners need to see that, oh, okay, I don't need hundreds and hundreds of employees. I don't need dozens of people in a technology area. It can be done. Not everyone's going to be able to find an intern like Ryan, but that expertise does exist out there.
And that was what was important about creating this in the first place for us as an organization. It was to bring this to small and medium-sized businesses. And you can certainly use any of the big firms, big consulting firms out there, and huge companies are doing this and have internal teams that are just data analysts. But this is something that everybody should be able to benefit from in running their business. And so that's what the 409 team has done so well with, is really bringing this down to the level of small to medium businesses.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Sarah. It's exactly what we do. That's how those are our target clients are the firms that may not have the resources to hire a individual or a team to build out these dashboards, and so they'll outsource those services to us, where we could provide that level of expertise, but also be involved enough so that we can continue to evolve these dashboards and really make sure that the end users, the managing partners, the CFOs, they're able to use it and make decisions based off of it.
Yeah, and you must be a dream case study for Microsoft and Power BI, because that's why they created a tool like this, is so they could put the power of data analytics in the hands of companies and firms of all sizes, and not just big players who have billions of dollars and thousands of employees.
We wish they would return our calls, but that's all right.
Well, maybe after this podcast, I'm sure
Maybe.
they'll elevate both of your profiles, and the phone will be ringing off the hook. That's the kind of exposure we can give to our members.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sarah and Ryan, that was really interesting. Really appreciate it. Ryan, we will have to have you back on again. Sarah, you too.
Awesome.
For now, we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Much, Don. Thank you.
Thanks for listening or watching. For more articles, resources, and events on data analytics, including Sarah and Ryan's article, visit njcpa.org/hub/data analytics. For more information about the data analytics services provided by 409, visit 409.com.